gentleman.
Yeah, Ravi Kumar. I'm an investor in knowledge economy, and I think a lot of startups and growing companies. You probably have seen a case recently which came up in the papers. Nearly $1 billion has been fined by the US courts to Tata Group. How could they? I mean, these are two large corporations. Okay, how did they end up in that mess? Fundamentally, because it's $1 billion. I mean, that's a huge issue.
That's a frontline story.
That's a frontline story.
But the details of that are yet to come in one sense.
Sure.
I had a talk with another software person 2 days back who was attending the PhD classes of mine, who's from Infosys, right? I was talking to him about this. He said, his initial comment was simple. He said, sir, this is happening all over, about, downloading, what are the materials. He said there is a competitive product. And he said this is American jury way of looking, about the whole thing. But we have to wait for what is TCS. One thing from the budget point of view, they allocate the money now for this year. Keep it out of the total amount. But the point is they have to really look at it. What is their response on that? And whether what it will proceed, etc. So I don't think so. At least another company's consultant is here. I don't think so. It is sometimes it is not foolish on the part of the top management, but quite often this is what we say. IP is not a think tank. It's a part of or rather, a junior most scientist should know what is patents. A junior most engineer should know, because innovation is one part of the story. Infringement is another part of the story. Whether you innovate or not is okay. People say, sir, we don't have anything innovation, why I should know IP? The question is, you will be infringing. For that sake, you should understand intellectual property in one sense. There is a big pressure of people working down to show results, to do few things. They may take independently their action. Finally, it lands up on the company and the brand issue, etc. But it's not a corporate policy to tell you to do this or do that. But as you said, if we have to wait for that, because as I said, when you are fined, you are in front page. When you are acquitted, you are not even in 8th page. That's how media works, right? Yeah. So we have to really wait and see how this turns out. And probably, if at all it is so, then what is the lesson for corporates to, make this, downstream people who come to the entry level should understand, and the IP and the landmines and how they have to navigate and what they are. That is, we have to wait. But otherwise, I thought it will be premature to take a discussion on that without even TCS coming out with its response.
TCS aside, I think that's. I wanted to make a point, particularly about the knowledge economy. Particularly, if you look at it from my perspective, I think the gentleman brought up a very valid point. It is a risk, when you're investing into a business, when you have a bunch of engineers who doesn't know whether they are infringing or whether you are cut and paste copy, source code which has got patented, and they're not even aware. I mean, as you acknowledge that it is happening every day, and a lot of engineers do this. And then what happens ultimately? And you think that you put in a lot of money into a company,
true,
and which is actually creating intellectual property. Look at Ola, for example, right,
true,
and the Uber. There are patents, and we are using similar kind of mechanisms. And software patenting is very hard in India, particularly. And so I mean, these are the challenges, particularly when we're talking about Make in India. Bring in investments. I mean, I invest in half a dozen of these British companies, and they all have here. And this is every day this is something which wake up every morning thinking about it. I just wanted to make a comment.
Just one comment. You want to? Yeah. Go ahead, India.
It's a response to him.
Yeah. I just wanted to make a comment. I've seen some of those things very closely. Without, it's not TCS or Cognizance or Infosys, something like that. See, when an agreement gets signed, it's the business team who starts it and the legal team who ends it. You agree to a lot of things. You have do's and don'ts. When your developers work on that, do you ever make the developer aware that what are his do's and don'ts? I mean, that's where the catch is. Okay, they are started by the business guy, they ended by the lawyers, but finally it's worked by the developers and the engineers. Many of them probably do not know what are the do's and don'ts. Whether they're the they are supposed to download this, they're not supposed to download that. So there needs to be a process, whether in a small company or a bigger company, where the guys who are handling those parts are fully aware of the responsibilities and the liabilities. Unless that is done, such incidents may keep on happening, whether we come to know of them or not.
Okay, I think
Just a-
we're
just a-
almost one more. Okay,
One or-
that will be the last one.
I had two questions.
Okay.
And a small comment by
Just
Mr.
a
Gillian.
comment on this is I have not read the judgment, but it's a little surprising that I think Epic Systems is the company which has won the suit. They are going on the basis of trade secrets. Now, software itself, as you said, the protection is complex. Where there is functionality or where it enables hardware to have a technical effect, then it is patentable. Otherwise, the expressive elements of software by the abstraction filtration comparison test is copyrightable. Now, where this trade secret comes in, it's very difficult to protect in terms of trade secret. Sorry? It's a matter of confidentiality. All right. Okay. So there is a difference between confidentiality and trade secrets. In any case, it requires nuances of going into confidentiality agreements, going into the collaborative and co-development process, which was what the contract was all about. I wonder really whether a jury which pronounced is capable of understanding the nuances. I think we'll have to wait for the appellate court. That is where a judge will actually pronounce. For instance, in Samsung, Apple, the appeals court threw out the jury's compensation. Because ordinary people hardly understand. So that's my comment as a lawyer.
That's what I said.